Hello everyone and welcome back to another video, and it's a video that has taken me a little while to get started with. I've actually been sitting here for about an hour thinking about filming the video but not actually getting around to filming it, partly because I'm just a bit discombobulated. It's been a really busy week, very wonderful week but really busy. I had my parents visiting for a few days and we took them to various interesting places, had a lovely time. It was great to see them, and then yesterday I was at a conference which I'm about to talk to you about, and for me, I'm an introvert, believe it or not. Some people don't believe that I'm an introvert. Somebody at work said to me once, "Brian, if you're an introvert, I am a vaudeville performer," and this is quite a quiet chap who said this. So I think people are surprised to learn that I'm an introvert, but I am. I'm only just an introvert. I'm kind of on that border between extrovert and introvert. If you do the Myers-Briggs analysis, I'm just into the introvert category, but I am an introvert. So I need some time to myself to recharge and revitalise, and after a busy week of entertaining and yesterday at a conference, I need to recharge. So hopefully I'm charged up enough now to be able to actually film this video without garbling completely incoherently, and at least it's cooler today. In fact, it's raining now and it's dull and it's quite cold and I love it. Not only am I an introvert, I'm also a pluviophile, a lover of the rain and the darkness and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, today is a good day, although a discombobulated day. So excuse me if I'm a bit all over the place, because I am a bit all over the place. However, I have my coffee here. Normally I have it black, but milky today. I feel the need for that kind of comforting thing the comforting blanket of security you need on a cold and windy day. How I love them. Anyway, what I want to talk to you about today in this video is the conference I went to yesterday, which was the TABI conference, the Tarot Association of the British Isles. And for those of you who don't know about TABI, I want to say a bit about who they are and what they are. They are open to anyone, whether you're in the UK, the British Isles, or not. But they are based here, obviously, and I'll just read to you what it says on their website, because they are a great outfit and the conference was great, and I want to share with you some of what I learned and some of the people I met. But what it says about TABI: who are we? This is from their website. TABI is a not-for-profit association run by unpaid volunteers with a passion for tarot and the esoteric. We were formed in 2001 to provide support, information and resources for tarot enthusiasts of all levels. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced reader, you're welcome at TABI. All tarotists are welcome, regardless of where in the world you are. Why join? We offer many benefits, including free online beginners training, the opportunity to become a TABI endorsed reader, participation in festivals and our active online forum. For further information, visit our membership page, and I'll put information about TABI and how to join down below. By the way, membership is just £10 a year, which I think is an absolute bargain, because the quality of information that you get and the access to the resources, like the conference I went to yesterday, are just really, really high. Now, the conference yesterday, funnily enough, I actually had on my radar, or had on my radar for some time. And I thought, oh, I know that conference is coming up. I need to renew my TABI membership and I need to book myself onto the conference. And so I was thinking, I'll do it. And then towards the end of last week, when my parents were still here, I noticed on Facebook that it wasn't in several weekends' time, which is what I had thought. It was this weekend. As my other half said, how amusing that you had to run around like a blue-arsed fly trying to get yourself booked onto a TABI conference due to unforeseen circumstances. So anyway, I did manage to get on, thanks to Karen at Kaleidoscope Tarot, who was one of the co-organisers of the event, and she very kindly got me on at the very last minute cancellation, and so I was able to join. And I'm so glad that I was, because I had a brilliant time, an absolutely brilliant time. It was a great agenda. As I say, it was just a day-long conference, although you could stay the night before and have a meal. I just went for the day. Great group of people. There was probably about 40 participants, so it wasn't so big that it was intimidating, and it was big enough that it was fun and you got to meet lots of people. But the lineup was fantastic in terms of the speakers. So in terms of what we covered and who we got, if you like, we got, first of all, Kathleen Matthews, who did a session on how to revive your unused decks. So decks that you maybe have on your shelf but you don't use very much for various reasons. How do you get back in touch with them? And she took us through various different exercises for doing that, which was just great. And it was very, like all of the presentations, it was a very warm and friendly and interactive presentation. So none of the presentations came across as overly formal. So it was just accessible for anyone, beginner, intermediate, advanced, absolutely fine for everyone. And actually I want to share with you a couple of things that Kathleen shared with us in terms of reviving our unused decks, because we all have them, don't we? We have those decks that we bought in a fit of inspiration, and then we either just don't have time to get into them, or maybe they didn't resonate at first, or they're too complicated to learn. It's a new system and we don't want to go into all the detail of it, and so they sit there staring at us from our shelves accusingly, and you feel a bit like you really should open the deck again and get into it, but for whatever reason you don't. So first of all, what she suggested we do is to lay a couple of cards using an unused deck and to answer a couple of very interesting questions. So it's almost like a kind of deck interview. And the questions she gave were: what inspiration brought you into being? So you lay a couple of cards for that. What are your gifts and your special wisdom? Lay a couple of cards for that. For what kind of work are you best suited? Lay a couple of cards for that. What kind of client will appreciate you most? Lay a couple of cards for that. And then finally, how may I best honour your gifts? And you lay a couple of cards for that. And that was interesting and illuminating in itself. And then she also shared with us a really good spread, which I particularly loved, and I'll explain why in a second. And I shall show you the spread here. So again, using the deck that you want to get to know better, you actually lay 4 cards first of all. The cards are in blue. You lay them down in this order. First card: where do you lead? Second card: what truths do you tell? Third card: what healing do you bring? And then fourth card: what wisdom do you offer? And once you've laid those cards, you then take the numerological or numerical values of each of the cards. Obviously, if you are dealing with major arcana, it's just a number on them, or if it's a pip card 1 to 10, the number on those. If it's a court card, then pages are 11, knights are 12, queens are 13, kings are 14 for this method. So you take the numerological values of each of those, regardless of the suit, you add them together, and then you reduce them numerologically until you get a number between 1 and 22. Is that right? Yeah, 1 and 22. And that then gives you a major card. So from the Magician through to the Fool, if you count the Fool as 22. We've explained this in my series, Tarot to the Nines. This is why I like this spread, because my series, which is still ongoing, Tarot to the Nines, is all about looking at the numerical constellations in tarot and how cards reduce to numbers using Pythagorean reduction. So if you got, for example, if you added them all up and you got 26, you'd then add the 2 and the 6, and that would give you 8, which would be strength, if you're using strength in the Rider-Waite-Smith system, or justice if you're using the Marseille system. So, or if you got 23, you'd add them together, you get 5, the Hierophant. So in other words, you get to a number between 1 and 22 by adding these together, and that gives you the major arcana that is at the heart of your spread, and that's answering the question for this deck: what's at the heart of the deck? And rather appropriately, when I did it for my deck, which was the Numinous Tarot, because I took that as the deck that I wanted to get to know better, I got number 9, the Hermit, which I thought was appropriate for Tarot to the Nines. So that was a lovely spread, and a really straightforward, simple deck interview spread that you can do with any deck if you want to get to know it a bit better. So that was Kathleen, and really enjoyed meeting her. Then we had Toni Puhle, the card geek, who taught us how to read Kipper cards. Now, this was very interesting for me because you know, if you've been following this channel, that the way that I read tarot is, the approach that I take to tarot is non-predictive. So I don't use tarot in a predictive sense, and I don't use it for clients in a predictive sense. I tend to use it in a self-reflective, self-coaching, contemplative sense, engaging with the symbolism of the cards and working out what that symbolism means for us in our lives. What was lovely and refreshing about Toni's session on Kipper cards, and I'm not familiar with Kipper or particularly with Lenormand, and Kipper is similar to Lenormand, is that this was a very straightforward, very nuts and bolts, predictive tool which doesn't rely on symbolism and just relies very much on situational representations in the cards. And let me just show you. This is Toni's deck, which I got, the Card Geeks Kipper, and it's based on the positional variations, and I'll explain that in a second. In terms of, well, let me explain it now. In terms of the direction that the people are facing in the cards, there's the number one main character if you're a man, and let me find the main character if you are a woman, which is probably going to be at the very bottom. That's the way these things work, isn't it? Second from the bottom. Can you believe it? Yes, you can. There you are. Number two. Now you'll notice that they, when you put them together, are facing each other, or they could of course appear like that. And that's based on the directional representations of the cards from the original 1890s Kipper deck, and Toni explained that there was a 1920s reproduction where everything was reversed, and that's fine. If you have the reversed version, that's not a problem. You just need to know which one you're working with. Anyway, let me show you a few more of the cards from this deck, just so you've got an idea of the kind of things you see. Very modern images. I'll show you an older variation in a second. And as you can see, situational things, people, events, objects, processes, states of being, and you lay them out, or Toni got us to lay them out in a grand tableau using all 36 cards, and you can do any kind of reading. She recommended we do a relationship reading or a career reading. I did a career reading, and I have to say I was very impressed, because some of the things that came up in the months ahead, it was a 9-month reading, actually matched very closely to some of the things that I know are coming up in my work life in the next few months. So that was very interesting. But what was most interesting was that Toni gave us a really clear explanation of how to interpret the cards. And you know, it's not an overly simple system. It's simple in the sense that, you know, it's simple to use, very clear, but there are some complexities in terms of how to interpret and analyse the cards, and she went through all of that in a fairly short session, but she covered a lot of ground. So much so, in fact, that I, as well as getting the cards, also got her book, the Card Geek's Guide to Kipper Cards, which is full of information about how to read directional layouts and what everything means in terms of if you've got cards above your character or below your character and all that kind of stuff. And it's just great. So really, really interesting. And you know, I think it's always good if you are into any element of cartomancy, whether it's tarot or Lenormand or whatever, it's a good idea to expand your horizons. And so for me, doing something that wasn't about the symbolic inner work of tarot, and was a bit more kind of nuts and bolts, was really enjoyable and a bit different for me. So I really, really enjoyed that. And I'll link details below of all of the people I'm speaking about. So Kathleen's links will be below, so will Toni's, and so if you want to find out more, then please do. And yeah, I highly recommend Toni's material. So she also has a YouTube channel, so I'll link that too. So that was great. That was Toni. Then we had Stephen Bright, who did a session on, and many of you will know Stephen Bright. He also has a YouTube channel, and I'll link all of his details below too, on integrating Lenormand and other cartomancy techniques in tarot readings. Excuse me, I need a sip of coffee. And what he also did actually was he gave a really good and interesting way of incorporating the court cards into your reading. So he went into more detail than this, but for example, he did a 2-card spread. I just realised I've scribbled a mistake on that, so I'm going to correct it. So he did a 2-card spread. Can you see that? There we are. So if you get 2 non-court cards, they both relate to you. If you get a court card as a second card, then this card in the middle, you imagine yourself here, and this card in the middle, you share this card with this other person. So sometimes in readings, of course, you get a court card, and you say court cards are notoriously difficult to read because people say, well, do they represent me? Do they represent somebody else? Do they represent who I might be? Do they represent who they might be, etc., etc.? So in this reading, when a court card comes up in this position, it's always someone else, and if there's another card in between that someone else and you share the energy of that card. If it's no court card, they both relate to you. If you get a court card and then another card, you get that card is someone else, and the card behind it doesn't relate to you, it relates just to them. It's telling you more about them. So there's you, there's them, and then more information about them. And then finally, if you get two court cards, you become the first court card, and the other court card represents someone else. So it's a really nice two-card reading, which allows you to look at how you interact with other people in various ways as represented by the courts, or occasionally yourself as represented by the courts. And then he also did a wonderful 3-card spread, which is a bit more complex in terms of looking at which cards relate to you and which cards relate to the courts. So it was really, really fun and interesting, and it was so refreshing to be able to do a reading, and when a court card appeared in it, to just know immediately, because you're working to a particular system, to know immediately whether that card, that court card, the Queen of Cups, is you or someone else, or if two cards come up, two court cards come up, to know which of them is you and which is the other person. So that was a lot of fun, and Stephen also illustrated his presentation using his own wonderful Spirit Within tarot, which is really, really attractive, and looks particularly attractive when you see lots of the cards arranged in a reading. Just really clear, very evocative, vibrant imagery, but of course using silhouettes. So it's actually in some ways very, very simple, but the simplicity, I think, really allowed the meanings of the cards to come out, and you don't get kind of bogged down in complex symbolism where you're looking at a card going, is that a happy expression, or is the Page of Cups a little bit discombobulated or grumpy? You didn't have any of that. It was a case of, it's the Queen of Pentacles, she's a silhouette, you see the pentacle, you see this queen silhouette, what's the meaning of the card, and you go into the core of it, if you like. So I really enjoyed that presentation as well, and it was great to meet Stephen, because we've interacted online for some time now, and it was my first opportunity to meet him. So really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed meeting Toni. Really enjoyed meeting Kathleen as well. And it was just great. And then Caitlín from TABI also ran a little session after that called Tarot Hide and Seek, and that was very much was a lot of fun as well, because what that involved was using your cards to figure out where she had hidden a Queen of Pentacles in the room. And I'm quite excited because I actually I didn't win, somebody else got closer than I did, but I got pretty close. So my card suggested to me, based on where they were pointing and how they were arranged, that the Queen of Pentacles was hidden at the back of the room on the left hand side. I thought it was behind the curtains, but it was actually under a phone. But I was pretty close, so that was exciting, and really enjoyed that. And the winner of that actually was another tarotist that I had great pleasure in meeting, and that was Louise Underhill of Priestess Tarot, again who I've interacted with a lot online, and she lives not all that far from me and runs a tarot meetup not far from me, which I haven't yet managed to get to, but I have been trying to for quite a long time. So it was nice to meet her, just to prove that I'm a real person and not some kind of virtual reality figure on a screen. So great to meet Louise, great to meet Karen, who helped me get there, from Kaleidoscope Tarot, and I'll put their links below as well. So there's going to be quite a lot of links below this video so that you can connect with these people, and I really recommend that you do, because they were all great people and it was a great event. Now, I promised I would show you my goodie bag. Where is it? Ah! There it is. So as well as, there's a light falling over, as well as the event itself and the sessions, let's put the light up a bit more, we got the goodie bag. Mine is a bit ripped because it got a bit wet, and well, there's a lot in it. So let me show you what came in this goodie bag. So first of all, information about forthcoming decks from Edison Books, new titles, Autumn 2018, all that. Kind of an advert, but nice to see them. Backlist information as well. So that was that. We got a nice little postcard of the Il Mengello edition of tarot. Very nice as well. I know that some people have been sharing these on social media, so very interesting to see that. And we also got a free book, the Book of Shadows Tarot from Barbara Moore, which has some pictures of the cards in as well, and lots of information in the book, so that was very nice. And we got a couple of free decks. We got the Il Fantastico Viaggio Major Arcana deck, and I'm just going to show you what these are because it's an unusual deck, and basically it uses an artist's model to represent the majors. It's a 22 card majors only deck, and really interesting and unusual. If you're familiar with these kind of artist models, you'll recognise the images. Really fun representations. And nice artwork as well. There's something Dali-esque about the artwork, I think. I won't show you all of them because I don't want to go on for too long. Okay, so let's just go to number 10, the Wheel of Fortune, the turning point, and I'll let you investigate that more yourself. And we also got, where's it gone? Also got free Grand Bazaar Tarot, which is one where you see sort of representations of money appearing in the deck. So you'll see somewhere in all of the cards some representation of money, safes, debit credit scales, money bags, you know, various things like that. Here we have the star pouring notes, banknotes into the river, the moon trying to sell you something, and the sun, they're clutching the little dollar notes. So that's another unusual, again, majors only deck. So that was rather nice. And I haven't opened this yet, but the other free gift we got was this Tarot for Everyone, Richard Webster, which contains a book and cards. I think the cards are the Los Carabeo Universal Tarot, I believe. So that's nice. I haven't opened that, and I might not. Maybe I'll keep it and use it as a gift or a giveaway in a future tag. Oh, and also, of course, I should have said I was going to show you the Kipper cards that I also got, which are based on the 1920s variation of the directional images. These are slightly more old, well, very much more old-fashioned Kipper images. Very different to Toni's deck, but very nice. All in German. And so I shall be laying a grand tableau of these later. And I bought Toni's book and deck, of course, and I also bought something from Kathleen, and this is actually not produced by Kathleen, but by her husband, John Matthews, and I'd had my eye on this for a while, and so I took the opportunity to get it, and it is the Moon Oracle of the She. And again, I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but I'll just show you some cards, and the cards are based on images only, so no keywords, although there is a book. Very evocative artwork, I think. Lovely oracle. And in fact, let's just, well, I'll keep them out because you've seen them. Let's just pull one as a parting gift to you all from the Moon Oracle of the She for this video. And it's going to be, ooh, that's interesting. 27, 2 and 7, 9. 9 is just haunting me at the moment. Not haunting me, it's stalking me in a good way. So 27. The fire of the moon is in your heart, as it is in ours. This is the She speaking, by the way, through the cards. It lights the way to your understanding. It connects you to the circle of the infinite. Look now at this image. Ask, does the light rise from the earth to the moon, or does it come from the moon to bless the earth? Are both answers true? Are you connected to the infinite world where she and human dance together under the promised light? Do you make your choices, or are they made for you? Answer these things from the heart, and you will understand how we walk one path. We walk before you and behind you, to left and to right. We are in your hearts and minds. Together, we bring wisdom to the world. Which I think is an absolutely lovely way to close this video, and to say thank you to everyone who was at the TABI conference, to the organisers, to the speakers, and to my fellow participants. It was a completely joyous event, and if I can figure out how to do it, I will close the video by sharing some photos of us all together. And yes, do check out the links below. And I'll be back soon with another video. I have actually got another deck that I want to do a walkthrough of, and I also need to get to my next instalment of Tarot to the Nine, because we are up to the mystical, magical number 7. See you soon. Take care.